Hi everybody, Chris here from Truly Holistic, and welcome to episode 5 of the 10 days, 10 videos, 10 topics video series. Now the topic for today is a question. Is this the Holy Grail? Okay? And I've been getting a lot of references coming through, being channeled with working with clients and what we need to do in regards to reference to religion. Okay? So not only through being channeled in regards to religion, but being drawn to certain movies and things that are questioning a lot of religion practices and looking at essentially the symbolism that we see running through our history. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be all connected to religion, but I keep getting told that if we really want to understand reality, is to look at everything in a symbolic way. As a side note, we look at logos and symbols of companies all around the world that have a very controlling nature on this reality. And it's not about just a fancy looking logo or symbol. They're a symbol, and symbolism is kind of their way of putting the truth out there, out in the open, but we don't have any understanding or knowing of that. Okay, I got drawn to movies like the Robert Langdon series with the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons, and I think the other one's called Inferno, which is the third one. And I was wondering, why am I being drawn to this? They were movies I'd seen, but years ago. I hadn't seen the third one, but I'd seen the Da Vinci Code and the Angels and Demons, and lo and behold, watching it, my jaw's dropping because it's connecting with exactly what we're finding and helping with people at the moment. So it was able to allow me to look at the whole aspect of the Holy Grail and I guess to a lesser degree the fountain of youth. Okay, because this Holy Grail thing is what everyone's looking for, is that, and I guess we can associate that with the word the cure. Everyone's looking for that cure, that one cure that's going to fix everything. It's really a myth. Well, it's not really a myth, it is a myth. It's kind of somebody dangling that carrot and you chasing after it. Okay, it's control, really. This whole idea of there is a cure for something. We've seen it with cancer, right? For years and years and decades, we're nearly there, we've got the cure and everybody's wanting that one cure. Well, really, it's just distraction. Okay, and it's used in that manner. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to talk about really what I believe really the Holy Grail is. Okay? So this invincibility of the Holy Grail, right, and the fountain of youth is not found within this physical existence. It's found within consciousness. Okay? And how that also connects with religion is that at the origin of where religion came from was once just consciousness. And there's a lot of people out there that really, for anybody that's not deeply into spirituality or consciousness, they kind of see spirituality and religion as the same thing, and they're complete opposites. There are obviously people that get benefit out of religion. Am I saying that religion's not beneficial to anybody? Not at all. The people that get the benefit out of religion is when they're still remaining to be open-hearted. And a lot of people think, what you mean open-minded? Now, as you would have seen in previous videos, that really the mind is our blockage, or our own obstruction in regards to our involvement and our growth as an individual and perhaps even as a collective. So we really want to replace that word with heart, and that's bringing that loving energy out instead of that fear energy that the mind is bound to. So instead of saying open-minded, we say open-hearted. And a lot of the geniuses out there that have brought a lot of this great information, Albert Einstein or Nikola Tesla, just to name a couple, always said, the greatest minds of our time. No, it's nothing to do with the mind. They were highly intuitive people, and they got channeled with information to bring to this reality. And it didn't come from here, it came from their heart. They disconnected themselves from social norms and what people believed as limitations and absolutes of their time. And they isolated themselves from that because it took them to a place where they could just be intuitively guided through here, okay, not here. So the same thing about the Holy Grail and the Fountain of Youth is realizing that you are a consciousness at the core of what you are and who you are. You're not this form here. And a lot of people just say this flesh and bone. This flesh and bone is actually a holographic projection of your original self, your consciousness. Okay, and we talked about in the previous video about this reality being a simulated or holographic reality and based on programming, codes programming. Okay, so this kind of connects in beautifully from that last video where we talked about the human being being a computer. Okay, so when we connect to our inner wisdom or conscious or spirituality, okay, where spirituality is very open-hearted, okay, and that's where some people can do well with religion if they hold on to that aspect, because that's originally what religion was. And over time, religion got distorted in this reality because other consciousness came in and evolved it into this form of religion where it was more about the mind and less about the heart. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about that. So when we connect into spirituality and we see that we're just a consciousness at our core, our consciousness is energy, and energy doesn't have a beginning or an end. It transforms, okay? And this comes into the whole idea of reincarnation, okay? Which is a spiritual and consciousness idea and idealism, is that we are reincarnated, okay? And when we get reincarnated, it's again just transforming that energy that is us, at the core of us, into another experience, okay? So really, we're infinite, okay? And a program within this reality is the program of death. And it's just a program. It's not real, really at its core, okay? We live out this experience within this vessel, and this vessel may have an expiry date on it. But when you work on yourself and be at ease with self and connect to your true self, that true self component of you is infinite, okay? It doesn't have an expiry date to it. So hence the Fountain of Youth, the Holy Grail, right? So religion all originally came from consciousness, and we've got to this point now through hundreds and hundreds of years, decades, and furthermore, in regards to our history, where religion has been distorted to the nth degree that it no longer, for a lot of people that are within religious practices, connects to consciousness anymore. Because as I say, consciousness, we are only conscious and have consciousness when we have awareness to self, and awareness of self is having our consciousness residing in that heart space, which we talked about in the first video, the fire of the sacred heart, which is the opening of that gateway all the way back to our origin of our consciousness, and that's where we come from. Okay, so when our awareness shifts out to reality, we cannot do it here. We do it here. And when we do it here, then all of a sudden we disconnect to consciousness. So we have no self-awareness, so hence we don't have consciousness. And a lot of religions is connected to here, not here. Okay? So let's look at the practices of, we're going to add science into this now. Okay? And a lot of religion is based on absolutes, okay? Like all different religious religion all around the world, right? They've got their idea of how every creation, okay? And of their God, okay? And that's an absolute to them, okay? That's what they fully believe in, that's an absolute. That's what really happened, that's an absolute. But what consciousness teaches us, and when we bring our power here in creating our own abundance and our own manifestation, is that all along we are the creator. It's not about one God and that external influence of God up there, praying to God up there. It's not about that. Because if we're praying about God up there or someone else, that's mind orientated, that's society orientated, that's reality orientated. That's when reality is programming us and telling us what the world is, who you are, what you should do, who you should believe in. Okay? But when we go through the heart, we get programmed or intuition of our higher aspect of our consciousness. Okay? Our source self. Okay? And then when you bring that energy of your higher consciousness through the heart by being heart-centered into this plane of existence, and that's what we're doing at the moment for clearings and the healing work for people here at Truly Holistic. We're really getting to we're getting to a great level of ascension and ascendance here, is that we expand our auric field. Again, that's going to be another topic for another day. But when we expand that auric field, more of reality becomes more of our field, and that enables us to be more creative into what we want to manifest. So we are the creator. So it's not about looking at someone else to save us. It's up to you. And that's empowering, isn't it? How empowering is that? Okay. And what I see with a lot of religion is it's taking that empowerment away from each individual. Okay, and really this is the true meaning of the Holy Grail, is realizing you are the powerful one. You are the creator. Okay? And this is what ascension is. The whole process of ascension is reestablishing, not establishing. This is not the first time you have connected with this. Reestablishing, because we've been hoodwinked within this reality. Reestablishing that connection to your true self. Okay? And at that reestablishing connection of your true self, you realize that you're the creator. And if you want to create stuff in this reality, then that's up to you. It's not up to anybody else. Okay. Anyway, coming back to, we've spoken quite a bit about religion. Let's talk about science. Again, a lot of science is based on absolutes. There are certain laws and things like that in physics and in the science that they deem as an absolute. Well, things like quantum physics, that is probably a new aspect or component of physics, is trying to get consciousness back in and amalgamate back with science. And it's been so rigid, science, that when we reach into these higher aspects of our consciousness, which exist in different realities, that are not bound to limitations that we've had here for so long. The laws of physics, the laws of science, the mathematics, everything about it changes. Absolutely changes. We're not rigid and based by limitations anymore. The whole thing it told me about, because just lately, the field of duality has been shifted, okay, just in the last few days. And what it kept telling me was that duality created limitation. Science has been is so 3D. It's incredible. Okay, it's limited us, the science that we've held on to for such a long time. Okay. That now we're bringing this field of neutrality, and this neutrality is limitless capability, because it's going to enable us to connect to our higher, we call them our ascendants. Okay, and again, it's not an external influence. These ascendants are your higher selves, and the key word is the word self, because the word self means you. It's a component of you. Okay, so the thing that we've always been wishing or praying for is you. It's you stepping up into your higher power and bringing it here. Okay, being empowered, knowing that you're powerful. Okay, that is the Holy Grail. Okay. Now, let's come back to consciousness in itself. For a wee while, as I've said in other videos, there was a time where I needed to understand reality. In my practice as a quantum energy healer, and when we're working at the quantum level, we're going back to square one. We are going back to the root of where everything comes from. Okay? I needed to understand. It's not about just doing clearings and seeing what happens. I need to understand that, and I need my clients to understand what we're doing here, because they come here for a session with me for 45 minutes, and we do work, but I need them to walk out of that session understanding what we did, okay? And if you look at a lot of practices within the 3D reality, within science, within modern medicine, all that sort of thing, it's about people giving up their responsibility to someone else. It's not about that. It's about holding on to your responsibility, because you're the creator, you're the powerful one. No one else, including a doctor, will understand what you feel within your own body. They can't trump that. And those feelings, those symptoms that are coming through your body is intuition, is communication. Okay, and I've been getting downloads today of looking at that in a completely different manner, even including the sensation of pain and what that is symbolic of. Okay, so let's look at the what is the geometry of consciousness? And this connects with the movie Da Vinci Code. Now, the Da Vinci Code talked about the Holy Grail was the chalice, okay? Right, the cup, the chalice. So the chalice is like that, right? So it was like that. So an arrow pointing downwards, and then underneath that, an arrow pointing upwards, which they talked about woman, right? The womb, the man, okay? For obvious reasons, right? And what does that symbolize straight away? Duality, right? It's opposites, polarity to each other. An arrow pointing down, arrow pointing up, right? Duality, polarity. Okay. And straight away I was looking at that, I was thinking, that connects to something I've seen before. Merkaba. What are we seeing with Merkaba? We've got a three-sided pyramid, or arrow if you want to look at it that way, okay? That is pointing down, right? Down. And then we've got one going up. The chalice. The Holy Grail. This is the geometry of consciousness. Okay? This is the vehicle for our evolution, our growth. That's the universal law for every consciousness there is. Even the parasitic consciousness that are feeding off our energy within this reality to evolve themselves. It's the Merkaba, okay? It's not through physical form, it's through consciousness, okay? Now, the numerology of consciousness is 6, okay? 6, okay? Now, I'm going to bring this up actually as well. We talked about it in the first, we won't talk about it very much, but in the first one, the 5, the Sacred Heart episode, where we talked about, 6 is consciousness. But 666 is usually always bound, connected to the underworld and the hell. But we found out that as I spoke about in that video, 666 symbolizes gateway. Not necessarily just hell, but just any form of gateway. And what do we find in our path to gaining our higher aspects of our consciousness? The gateway that goes right through here behind the heart. Okay, so you can see how all this connects up. The dots connect up. Okay, because part of us having this beautiful Holy Grail, the fountain of youth, is understanding that we are infinite. We are the creator. Okay, which is greater knowing, greater understanding. Okay, so you're infinite. You're an infinite consciousness. Okay, so I'm just having a quick look at my notes. Just make sure I haven't missed out anything. So essentially, when we're not connecting here, and we're here, and society, reality is molding us, programming us, right? We call that person is a lost soul. Okay? And a lot of people that are very science-minded, and perhaps even very deep into religion, on the consciousness level are lost. Okay? And a lot of these people are relying on other people to pull them out of a difficult time, in a difficult place. And sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But wouldn't it be better if you relied on an aspect of yourself, because your higher selves aren't going to let you down because it's you. It's very empowering, so it elevates your vibration straight away because you're taking things into your own hands. I think I'd rather have that. So essentially what's been happening for all this time is a perception deception. And that's a coined term by David Icke. I think he released a book called that too. Because exactly that's what's happening. We've been controlled. Our perception of reality has been controlled for such a long time. It's time we take it back. But through love. Not from fighting, fear, anger, but through love, through our heart, through consciousness. Letting go of conformity. You're unique. You're talented. Your uniqueness. Embrace it. Don't conform. Okay? And I think we're finished. I hope you really enjoyed this video. Okay? Can't wait for the next video. And the next topic we're going to be talking about is using geometry with intent. And that's essentially what I do here as a healer. And we'll talk about that. And then after that, we're going to be talking about numerology. And at the moment, I've been really getting into creating tools and products that incorporate both numerology and geometry. And we'll get into that as we go along. So much more information to talk about and to learn. Very exciting. And keep up with the competition. Everybody's been commenting and getting into it. Fantastic. Keep it going. Until next time, see you later.